If you've ever tried to set up a clean audio system in a conference room or a minimalist home office, you know the struggle.
Oh, absolutely.
You get the speakers mounted, they look great, and then you realize you have to hide this giant bulky amplifier.
Right, or a massive receiver somewhere.
Exactly. But today's deep dive is looking at the hardware that solves that exact problem, the Kramer Tavor 50W.
And we are pulling the specs directly from HDTV Supply for this one. At first glance, it looks like a standard pair of on-wall speakers, but the internal engineering is completely different.
It really is. So our mission today is to unpack these 5.25-inch powered speakers, and that word power does a lot of heavy lifting here.
It changes the entire installation workflow. Because unlike a traditional setup, you don't need that separate black box on a shelf to drive the sound.
Right, this is an active-passive system.
Exactly. The amplifier isn't in a rack, it is actually physically built into the left speaker cabinet.
Which is the active unit.
Yes, it houses the power supply, the controls, and the amplifier itself,
Then you just run standard speaker wire over to the right speaker.
which acts as the passive slave unit.
It effectively removes an entire component from your signal chain. You just run your audio source, like your laptop or a projector, straight into the speaker on the wall.
And looking at the power output, this isn't weak. We are seeing 2 by 30 watts RMS.
Or 2 by 80 watts continuous program.
For a 5.25-inch driver, that is plenty of headroom. You aren't trying to fill a concert hall. You're filling a meeting room or a living room. 30 watts per channel gives you clear, loud audio without distortion.
Speaking of clarity, let's look at what is actually moving air here. Kramer used a polypropylene cone for the woofer and a 0.5-inch mylar dome tweeter.
Those material choices are highly specific. Polypropylene is fantastic for installations because it resists humidity and temperature changes.
Whereas paper cones can degrade over time.
Exactly, the poly holds up, and that mylar tweeter handles the high end nicely. The frequency response runs from 45 Hz up to 20 kHz.
I feel like that 45 hertz floor is super important.
It really is. You aren't going to get floor-shaking sub-bass, but it's low enough to give the music some warmth. It prevents the audio from sounding thin or tinny.
Which is a huge complaint with smaller wall mount speakers. Plus, they didn't lock the controls behind software. You get physical knobs for volume, treble, and bass right on the back of the active unit.
Which I love. It means you can mechanically tune the speaker to the room. If the space is too bright or echoes a lot, you just roll off the treble right at the source without needing an external mixer.
Now, my favorite part, the real cool factor here, is the auto power feature.
The auto standby.
Right. The system just detects when there's no audio signal and shuts the amp down, and LED turns red.
So you never have to worry about whether someone left the break room stereo on all weekend. As soon as you hit play on Monday, it wakes right up.
It's seamless, and the connectivity is what really screams pro gear to me. Sure, you get the 3.5mm jack and RCA inputs for standard devices.
But the big deal on the back panel is the terminal block connector.
Huge for professional installers.
Oh yeah. If you are running cables through walls for a permanent install, you definitely do not want to be soldering RCA heads while balancing on a ladder.
The terminal block just lets you screw in bare wire for a balanced stereo connection.
And that balanced connection is key for noise rejection. It stops that annoying hum or buzz from creeping in if your audio cables run parallel to power lines.
It also features an automatic input voltage selector, 90 to 240 volts AC.
So this unit works just as well in London as it does in New York without a transformer. Incredibly adaptable.
Now, for getting these on the wall, the source material notes, they come with U-shaped rotating brackets.
Which is critical. You rarely mount a speaker at perfect ear level. You're usually putting these up high, so the rotation lets you angle the sound down toward the listener.
They come in black or white. HDTV Supply lists a specific part for the white version, and they use an ABS cabinet with an aluminum grill, so they're tough.
Very tough. And looking at the bottom line, the price is currently sitting around $240, marked down from an MSRP of $300.
When you remember that you don't have to buy a separate amplifier, that value proposition gets really strong.
It's a completely self-contained audio solution. It simplifies the wiring and clears up shelf space. It's hard to argue with that kind of efficiency.
It really is. And it brings up an interesting thought to leave you with. As these powered speakers get smarter, with auto-sensing power and high-quality built-in amps, are we seeing the slow death of the standalone AV receiver for standard rooms?
It's certainly heading that way.
If the speaker can do it all, maybe that giant stack of gear we are so used to is finally obsolete. Something to mull over before you buy your next component. Thanks for joining this deep dive.